Hey Predators, this is Travis. We're going to do some reviews of some apps here that we see online. There's quite a few of these outdoors apps there that usually help with mapping, or they help with some kind of weather. The first one we're going to be reviewing is one that I've been using for a couple seasons now. This helps me with A, mapping in the field, B, helps me with a little bit of land management, so it can help for planning for the future and looking at how things have changed over time. It also has a little bit of a social aspect to it, and that is HUNTSTAND. So I'll open the app here. So you see, whenever we first open the app here, we're immediately greeted by all of our tools and everything here. Just a quick scroll through, we've got the satellite maps, the hybrid maps, property info, hunting land, public land, tree cover, natural atlas, terrain, outdoor maps, quad topo, satellite vivid, MAPBOX satellite, contour, and streets. So that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14 different types of maps here, okay? So as you see, if I touch one of these, it brings me straight to that map type. All right. And then at the top over here, I've got the tools, right? So I've got the map editor. This is where I can add waypoints, measure distances, and things like that. I've got the hunt zone, which will tell me, exactly where the wind is going to be blowing and during a certain time range of any 12-hour period. This is really helpful for making sure you don't get caught, or your scent doesn't get caught by the deer while you're out there, or elk, or whatever you're hunting. I got a weather setting there where I can tap this and I can go straight to my weather. Alright, this shows me current 72 hours, wind speed, temperature, cloud cover, and then it even gives me a 5-day forecast as well. So I have SOLUNAR, so if I want to use the moon to help guide my hunts, so it gives solar position, lunar position, peak game activity times, right? And I can do it again. This is a 5-day SOLUNAR forecast here. Okay, I can track harvest, sightings, trail cams. Really cool about the trail cams, which we'll get into more in a minute, is I can actually also not only see where my trail cams are, but often I can add pictures to that, so I can show you, or I can look at my pictures that are taken off that trail cam. We'll get into more in a minute. Tasks, which are, okay, I need to plow this field needs to be seeded on this date. Group board, so that's a social aspect. Friend locator, again, it's another social aspect, so this is really helpful. So if you've got about 4 or 5 guys in the field, I watch a lot of these guys go hunting in large groups. I've never really done any large group hunting, but they'll have like 4 or 5 guys out there in the field at once. This friend locator is really cool because you can actually see where everybody's at. So if you need to go and you're going to go do a hunt and they're hunting in a different area, then you can go pick them up and you can find them later very easy by using this friend locator here. And lastly, land for sale. So if you're looking for your own piece of private land to hunt, this is really cool because it shows you different plots of land that are for sale, and actually links to the websites where you can see more information about them. I've got the map printing tool. This is really cool because what I can do is not only can I see everything in the app here, but I can actually print maps that I can take into the field with me. And there's different kinds. There's canvas maps, there's like high quality printed laminated maps and stuff like that. But this is really cool because I can print not just a general map of the area or find one of these like surveyed ones, but I can actually print my map that I make in this app with my markings on it. So that is really cool because sometimes you can do like the offline maps. Yeah, so the problem with that is that you're always relying on a digital device to do this for you. So what I can do with this is I can use this print tool. I can get it mapped up to 3 by 4 feet, so there's going to be plenty of detail and resolution there to use. And it's something I can roll up and then I can stick in my bag. Or what I think is really cool, I'm actually going to do pretty soon, I'll test it for you guys, is to actually have that map printed and hang it up on your wall. That's really awesome. So anyways, going back here, I'm going to go take a look at this map here. So you can see at the very top here, one of the things that I love about this too, again for land management, or just having multiple hunt areas, is to be able to choose which hunt area you're working at. So you can see at this top bar, I have several of them. I got a little map for my house, so I actually use this more than just for hunting. I actually also use this for scouting out land for running and stuff like that. So I've actually plotted around my neighborhood in the suburbs here. I've plotted a map for a lap or a track to go run around, so that I can track distances, right? So whenever I leave my house here and start running, I can literally plot that distance that I go around in this area. So again, what's really cool here is that I can not only synchronize this between my different devices, but I can also have multiple hunt areas and have those maps ready. Okay. So let's go ahead and just keep the DOS Ranch here. This is one I've got the most markers and things on. So whenever I first open the app, what I would do is I would come here to Map Editor, or I could just touch on one of the different kinds of maps and it's going to bring me to the screen as we saw earlier. You can see right here I've obviously got the whole parcel of land here with the fence and everything marked off with the purple line. Okay, that's kind of so I can just see from a sky view here the boundaries of it. Right. If I just use 2 fingers to touch and zoom, I can enter the 3D kind of map here, right? So I can see things. It's kind of a flat map actually, but it's just I can get that bird's eye view of it, which is pretty nice. Okay. Then I can zoom in, obviously pinch to zoom, or I can double tap to zoom, either one. By the way, I am using this on my Android phone. This is the LG V40, so just as a reference. You can use this on an iPhone as well. I prefer the Android because I feel like it's got a lot more power, it's got a lot more processing power, it's got a lot more memory. I mean, I just feel like it works better for these kind of things. Anyways, this is the total management on our property here though, so basically it's super easy to do a lot of things. So if I look at the top here, this first button, like I say, if I type at the top in this area, then I'm going to be able to see all my different hunt areas, and I can switch on the fly from them. If I push this button here, this allows me my different maps. And there's some really different cool features about these maps that's really nice. There's some of them that give you different like views, different what we can call I guess perspectives of the map. Some of them show you different things. Some of them actually allow you to look at the soil content, which is just an amazing feature. If that information exists in a public database, like for a public hunting land or something like that, it'll actually let you know what the soil consists of, so you can kind of guess what kind of foliage is to be there. And you can it'll also tell you, how much of it's made up of trees and all this different stuff from like a survey, so that you can really get a feel for what's there before you go to that land area, which is really, really nice. So let's go and explore these real quick. So the first one at the top, we're at just a regular satellite image. Okay, pretty straightforward. Next is the typical hybrid map. This is with a Google Maps street relay over it. You can see right here at the top, you see the Ranch Road 783 up there. Okay. Next is property info, right? So this is pretty cool because what it does is I can tap on the map in any one of these boxes here, and it lets me know who owns that land. Okay, so if I tap right in here, you can see there we go. It tells you it's 105.5 acres plus this area over here, which is actually the same thing, 13.66 acres. What's really nice about that is that you can get not only the property info for it, but look, you see how it says add shape there, which basically what that means is that you can actually get a line drawn around that parcel there, wherever that is, so that you can kind of easily outline that property in your map. Okay, and that's what I've kind of done here. Combined a couple of them there. All right, next over here, hunting land, right? So this right here just kind of shows you all the different hunting lands. Like I said, this is Texas, so you can see this detailed map here. It actually outlines things like the hills and mountains, whatnot. Looks very nice. I'm going to switch over for this one. I can switch over to a different location so we can see that map for public hunting land. But basically, if you tap anywhere on the land there, it's going to show you all the different regions in that state or in that area that have land in that area. So you can see it shows you how many acres, the public hunting region, wildlife district, or DMU. Okay, designated management unit is, I believe, what that stands for. So let's switch over here. I want to go to the Old Sabine Bottom wildlife management area. There we go. So you can see it's got a different color there. So if I touch on it, it says hunting land. So what it is this is a Old Sabine Bottom WMA right here at the bottom. You see that? It is just that section of it there is just over 6,000 acres. And so if I wanted to, I could add that shape there so that whenever I'm looking at the map in any other view, it's going to show me the shape of the outline of that land there. Okay. Next over here, I got public lands. I'm going to stay here on this map for that. Again, this outlines this public hunting land. You can see that marked with that whole orange section there. So again, if I touch on it right here, it's going to tell me or kind of all the stuff about this. This is the Old Sabine Bottom Wildlife Management Area. That section is 5,850 acres that I touched on there. It is a fee-based thing. Owner type is owned by the state Fish and Wildlife, the Texas Wildlife or Parks and Wildlife Department, or the TPWD owns that land there. This is a state conservation area, so it's not a preservation area, it's a conservation area. There's a big difference there. And then again, it tells you like the source date, how many acres it is, restricted access, level 2, managed for biodiversity, disturbance event suppressed. Again, it was really nice. It was established in 1994. Okay, so pretty cool. It gives you that much information about that area. Again, I can zoom in here, right? Get more and more detail. And again, you can see that this is a different area on my map. I've saved this and I've got markers there and such, so I can see my parking areas. Okay. All right, next map over here is going to be tree cover. This is kind of cool because what it does is basically from a sky-high view shows you the density of trees in that area. This is really good for scouting out locations, you know, for wildlife and where they might bed and things like that. Show you how your cover is going to work. You can see this wildlife management area is very densely heavy with trees, right? So pretty cool little map there. I'm going to go back to the Doss Ranch because it doesn't have very much tree cover. You can see from this right here, obviously this whole area, it does have trees, but it's not super thick. There's not a whole heck of a lot of it. So as I zoom in there, you can see it's much more sparsely populated with trees. So, all right. Next, natural outlets, right? So this is ATV trails, 4x4 roads, forest roads, campgrounds, stuff like that. So you can see all these different things. It's kind of like a mix of like a topo map. It's got trails built into it. What's really cool about this is it's crazy how detailed it is. For even this property, which is a private land, you can see this track that I've got there that I kind of where I followed that that trail right in here, right? You can see how that follows, and then even that, just from the GPS images, they've overlaid this, and they can find this track that you know, used to be. It's been a track for a long time. It goes around this hill here. Whenever somebody owned all this property here, and before they subdivided off, you can see this track that goes all the way through here to this Doss Spring Creek Road back here. So it's pretty cool. Like I say, these tracks are really good for hunting public land and things like that. So you can see exactly where everything lies. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look with this at the Old Sabine Bottom. Again, very detailed here. So again, you can see the streams and the creeks and stuff like that laid out over it. I can see a marsh that's marked here. Again, it's very cool for a lot of different things. For trails, this trail is marked on there as well, the one that I have marked as well. So again, cool for trails, 4x4 roads, off-road, state roads, and also, as you can see, for seeing different things with like the landscape as well. Next over here is the Google Maps terrain view. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to the Doss Ranch here, just to better define this. So Google terrain view here. Again, if I zoom out here, you can see the whole terrain of this area. All right, so I can see all the hills and rolling hills and mountains and stuff in this area. So if I look at it in this kind of tilted bird's eye view, I can see we kind of lay up against the back of some of these mountains up right in the plain area, which is, you know, kind of the city of Doss there. Okay, it's in the valley. Okay, so this is just you know, a view of the terrain. This is really helpful for let's say, for instance, let's zoom way out here. Let me do this. Let me go over here to West Texas, where we got like the Davis Mountains and stuff like this. So this is the Big Bend Ranch State Park. So you can look at this. This terrain view is really cool, especially if you can imagine your marker being in that area. How you can kind of see the valleys and all the saddles and things like that of the mountains and all the detail here. That'd be really cool for that. Now we're going to load the outdoor map, right? Alright, so we're loading. This is the outdoor map here. Basically what you got here, again, it's kind of like a mix of the terrain. You can see a little bit of the terrain on there, mixed with a topographical map, okay? And it has the roads on there. Again, I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see how this looks over here over a larger region. Again, same kind of thing. Has some trails marked. It's pretty good for just general outdoors use. If you're doing something real specific with hunting, you know, might not use this one for that, just because I want to see more of like the tree cover and the actual satellite imagery of the land. Alright, here's your quad topo. This is the US Geological Survey topographic maps. Topographic. I said that weird. Alright, very standard. If you've never seen a topo map from the US Geological Survey, this is what it kind of looks like, right? I don't have a super amount of detail here. Like I said, I can zoom in pretty far, but it's not super detailed at that point. Not a bad idea for general land scouting, though. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Vivid. So, digital globe satellite imagery with vivid colors. I actually really like this. I wish it would give you a little bit better detail whenever I zoom in. Like, it does okay in most places. But this really adds a little bit of a contrast to what we're seeing here, so I can really see like the delineation of the trees and the sandy soil and everything in here very, very nicely. Whereas if I go back to the satellite image, right, you can see it's a lot more kind of flat and green looking. It's kind of like a little more contrasty, a little bit more vividly colored map. Same kind of aspect though, and at certain points it's actually a little bit different map footage. Certain places it actually looks different, right? So if I look over here at the neighbor's land, you can really tell the difference right from here to there. It's not just a reprocessed satellite image, it's actually got new information or additional information there. Okay, same thing with the MAPBOX satellite. Again, this is just another satellite image here. So this is the MAPBOX satellite imagery. I believe this is a different image company, so this is not Google providing this. This is a different company altogether. The only downside of this, I really like these maps. I found that I like the MAPBOX satellite imagery. Again, it kind of looks like that vivid satellite imagery. The only downside to it is the maximum zoom level is way less. So if you're scouting a huge area, if you're looking at this huge area, this is really helpful to see, like, okay, well, at different times of the year or in different states, what does this land look like, you know, during different seasons, I mean. But for this, being able to zoom in there, not being able to zoom that far is kind of a hindrance. So it's not bad, but again, I got a toolbox full of maps here, and that's just another one. That's just another map that I can use. All right, so contour, right? So what is this? It's basically that satellite image that's got overlaid with the topographical information. Works pretty well. Again, you can kind of see as I pan around. Topo information loads really quick, then the satellite image comes in. And lastly, you got the Google Street Map. Okay. So, of all these different maps that I've got, all these different choices, which ones do I usually use? Honestly, I usually use either the hybrid map whenever I'm first scouting, whenever I'm marking and things like that. I do want to be able to see some streets and things sometimes. Public hunting lands I use whenever I am hunting a public land. I know I'm going to be out there because it gives me a lot of information about that property before I ever go out there. I do use tree cover again if I'm going to a place that I don't know for sure has a lot of tree cover, or maybe I even want to find gaps in that tree cover so I can find clearings and things like that a lot easier and mark them on my map. This is very helpful. Okay, something you won't see in almost any other hunting app is that tree cover, and I really like that. I think that's a TerraStride who makes HUNTSTAND. I think that's a unique thing that they have there. Okay. Let's see, what was the other ones I use? Sometimes I use the train map, but most of the time I'm going to use the satellite vivid as well as the contour map, because again I get that satellite info overlaid with the topographical information. Okay, so those are the ones I use most often, but I do use several maps. If I had to get away with just one map, so the free version of this app does come with the free maps. So the free version of this app does come with the basic satellite and hybrid maps. If you want any of these other ones, you have to pay an extra fee, but it's really not that expensive. By the end of the video, I'll get to that if you want to fast forward. All right, some more features here. If I hit this button right here, which I'm not going to right now because I'm not at this property, but that will take me to my current location, which is really helpful if I'm out hiking in these woods or hunting. I can see exactly where I'm at on that map, okay? The 3D button right here, again, this gives you a 3D map. This is really cool. So look, I can kind of move around, pinch to zoom, and this is super helpful. I didn't realize what I was missing until I started using this. So this is almost like a Google Earth satellite image of that area, right? So I can kind of see things in three-dimensional space, and I can see how that land lays out. You can see how my line even just passes over that. You see how it actually conforms to that ridge there. So once the map is in 3D mode, I actually see where that fence lies, and I can see this in three-dimensional space. I can see the mountains all around the property. So this 3D map is super helpful, right? May not be as helpful in the field, but it can be. So like I said, whenever I was looking at the flat map here, I couldn't tell. I could see kind of on the top of the map exactly how that laid out, but to see it here, it kind of blows my mind. So for instance, I used this recently. I was actually driving on here, and so whenever I was following this trail right here, so you see this trail that goes back here behind this mountain, right? That's the way that we have to get to the top of the mountain, right? Because this is so thick right and through here that you can't just walk up, or you can just walk up it, but again, you got to take so many turns and go through there, and the trees are just over your head height and everything, you know, probably 8-foot 10-foot trees there in most parts. So it's going to be hard to find your way. You can easily get disoriented, and you don't know, not that you're going to get lost, because you know, you just go up the hill, right? But one thing it is hard to do, or one thing that does make it easy to do, is get your north and south and all that kind of turned around and which direction you're facing, because sometimes you might be heading up the hill and then you have to take a turn and you go sideways laterally across the hill, and then you have to go back down around some debris, and then you can finally head up the hill. So it can kind of be disorienting at times, right? This is very true for this path going around the mountain here. For the longest time I thought it kind of just went up here and then it kind of came up the side of the mountain here, right? I didn't realize that this path went all the way around the back side of this mountain, or on the back side of the property, and then came back out up here in this area. And it wasn't until I really mapped it out and I looked at it, it didn't occur to me that whenever I drive this, that again, I'm driving this path, I'm going all the way around this mountain through this. You can see I'm driving through some rocky terrain there for a minute, and then I come back, I'm through the trees. I have to put it in 4-wheel drive mode up here to kind of go up and around this area, and then I end up all the way in the back around here, and then once I get to here, then I'm hitting at the top of the mountain on this far side. And it didn't even occur to me until I looked at this whole map in 3D, and then the next time I drove it, I actually went up there with my HUNTSTAND app open so it could follow my trace, and I saw that, and I was just kind of blown away by it. So just as another example of this, again, I'm going to go over here to zoom way out, something where I got a little more texture. Again, Big Bend National Park. This is the Davis Mountains here in Texas. Yes, we do have mountains in Texas. I'm going to do the 3D mode on this. Okay, so again, I can zoom into these mountains, and this is where I think this thing really shines, is 3D view, is whenever you're in the mountains and the hills and stuff like that. So I can go in here and zoom in. And so look, I can actually see, I think it's actually part of Mexico at this point, but I can see all the terrain in these mountains, and I can zoom in super far into it, right? So if I were scaling or going down mountains or something like that, can you imagine how helpful this 3D map would be? Marking things here on the mountain, I mean, this would be really cool. If you're scouting and you see sightings of elk, or if you see sightings of deer, or in this place, in this area, it'd be more like bighorn sheep or something like that. Can you imagine being able to mark that on the map and then see in the terrain, like whenever you're looking at it, like as you're glassing, doing a spot and stalk in this area? It's just immensely helpful to be able to see this in 3D. So just keep that in mind. So the next tool over here is going to be some of my mapping tools, right? So I can measure a area, right? So let's say I just wanted to measure the area around this area right here, right? So I'm going to start at this trail, push the plus sign to add a mark, push the plus sign here. I'm just kind of making a random shape here, and then I hit finish. Okay, so it's pretty cool because right there I can measure that area has 2.34 acres just in that right there. I'm kind of done with that, so I'm just going to hit clear. Also, if I hit back, then the back button down here, that would just, you know, take a step back, so I'd unmark that last mark. But I'm going to go ahead and hit clear because I don't want to add any more shapes to that. Next over here is the distance measurement tool. This is really helpful if you have a rangefinder break in the field, or maybe you don't have one. So use this measuring tool. For instance, I can go here, right, add a point, and this is where my blind is. Okay, so I can put this right over the top of it, hit add a point, right, and so look, it says 32.8 yards. So basically that's why I could look at that, and I know from that feeder to where my blind is set up. It's about 32 yards or 33 yards. So I can set my sight. If I've got a sliding pin sight, I can set it to 33 yards or, you know, somewhere in between 30 and 40, and I can get that shot. I've actually used that several times whenever I'm doing practice, and I've actually tested this with my rangefinder. I think they're within about a half a yard of one another, so it's actually really accurate from what I've seen. And I've actually got a pretty cheap rangefinder. I haven't gone super expensive on that one yet. If you've got any recommendations for a good rangefinder, I'm looking to buy another one. If you have any recommendations, go ahead and put it in the comments below. I'd be happy to hear about it. So those are those tools there. I can also add points while I'm here. All right. So I can just hit the plus button, and so I can either add a shape here, like if I want to save a shape, like I just did for the property lines earlier, or if I did for the property lines in the beginning, I can save that, add a shape there that will save on the map. So this is just for like measuring. This is if I actually want to add a permanent shape on my map. Next over here, the line, again, I can add a line shape to it that stays there. If I want to mark out different distances so I can see with my bow how far I'm shooting, or if I'm shooting with a rifle, I want to mark out those distances so I can show how far it is. And then once I get those landmarks there, what I can do is actually add a point to it, right? So we're just going to go over here. I'm going to mark, I remember we have a feeder back here at the main cabin or my main house here. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that on the map because I haven't done it yet. So now that that tool is activated, I just touch right here where the feeder is. It says add a new marker here, and I can either do several ways. I can either just drop it right there where I touched. I can do it at a specific latitude and longitude, which is really neat. On my location where I am, right? Like, so I can drop it exactly where my GPS location shows me. Anyways, once I put that there, I just touch that marker. Select marker type. So here's all the different types, right? I'm not going to read every one of these, but you can kind of go through. The ones that have this little calendar icon next to it that you see over here on the side, that calendar icon allows you to change that marker over time. Like, you can see it over time. Like, so if I just add a custom one there and I say this is a feeder, it's just going to be a blank marker, but I can actually see that over time. So I can look at it at 2013, 2014. I can see how things or information with that marker change over time. Okay, same thing with the food source right here, right? So if I were to select that, then it would add the date and all the information from that date. Okay. Same thing with the water source. I can add, okay, well, this year that pond was dry. Next year that pond was fully full, and then we fixed it so you say from every year after that it held water in it. So, you know, hopefully it holds water. So you can see all these different things. I'm not going to read over all these. I'll go slow so you can see all of them, right? It even separates it by animal, right? So I have it organized a little bit. Some of the other apps on there, like onX Hunt for like onX Hunt, for instance. Basically, it has just a whole bunch of these just kind of spread out, a bunch of different interesting markers which work well, but again, they're not separated out here by, you know, animal or others, right? So I got kind of this little bit of an organization here, which is kind of nice, so I can easily find all my different markers. So anyways, so I'm looking here, so I got like buck scrape, buck drop, buck shed, all this stuff is pretty neat. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a feeder, right? So I'm going to go back up here. So I got club, camp, parking, gate, food plot, agricultural field, feeder, right? This is a feeder, and we'll say this is the viewing feeder. So we don't actually hunt out of this feeder, we just use that so we can kind of look out in the morning and we can see the deer as they're coming to graze and stuff like that. Sitting there drinking your morning coffee and being able to look at the deer is a really nice thing to have. So add a comment, so I'll just say no hunting at this feeder. Alright, so there we go. So you can see I can touch it now. I can view information about it. It tells me this is a feeder, the viewing feeder. If I wanted to, I can come back in here and I can edit it. I can delete it and do different things like that. See more information about it. I can see its exact GPS location. Alright. Same thing with all these other markers. I can touch that and see, like, okay, I can edit the information or delete it if I want to. Okay. What's really cool too is from here I can also look at a list of all the ones that I've already got, right? So I can bring this all the way up here and I can see all the different, you know, boxes and everything I can hide or show all features, right? Primary map sources and things like that. This is where I was telling you is a really cool feature that only this app I've seen has, and I can set a start date to end date. So start date here, end date here, and a time and an end time, right? So I can look very specifically for, okay, maybe I've had this land for, you know, 5 years, something like that. I just want to look at all my harvests and all my shed finds and everything from 1 year, and print a map out of that. Again, if I was doing a wall map or something like that to kind of catalog each of my hunting years, that would be a really cool thing for that. Again, for looking at the water sources and food sources, if I have a food plot, I can do start date and end time here, or end date, start time, end time. So again, I can kind of see really specifically how this has changed over time, and that is a really cool feature you'll not find on any other app that I've seen. Okay, so then also I got a list here. So this is all my lines that I've added, right? The fence borders in here, I manually added these in there and everything. I can also see shapes and everything as well here. So these are all my lines and shapes that are laid on the map that I put on there. Okay. Down at the bottom down here in this little section, I've got obviously the map objects like the markers and the lines and stuff. I can also track all my harvests, right? I've only had one harvest on this property. I've only been hunting here for a couple of years, and I've been very specific about what I hunted. So I just shot a little doe here. But what's really, really cool about this too is that I've got so much information on that harvest, right? So it shows up yellow, so I just touch it. And so look at this. I can actually add photos to it, okay? I can name the animal that I shot, or, you know, if I have a specific name for it, like if you have, like, you know, I don't know, Big Cheese, or some of these guys have funny names for these bucks, you know, they have like Wicked Six or whatever, you know, these funny names they make up for their deer. But you can choose what weapon I took it by: bow, handgun, knife, rifle, shotgun, a spear. If you check out my other video about the Bomar spearing incident there, you know, and the Bomar spear hunt that everybody went crazy about. So anyways, I digress. You can estimate the age of the deer, the animal that you took, its weight. It'll show you automatically what the temperature was outside when you shot that, when you harvested it. Your pressure. So like if you do this later on after you've already harvested and everything, you can actually go back and add that information if you needed to. Just check the weather. You can change the conditions, visibility. All this stuff will automatically fill in, even the wind speed, the moon phase, all that, moon illumination. All this information will automatically fill out for you, which is amazing. Because again, it's all tied into the app, right? The moon phase and all this stuff. So this is a little thing I was talking about. I can add a little note at the bottom there. And so this is the story of this doe I harvested, right? So I was in this blind I'd set up. I missed a chance at a nice 8-pointer. Like I say, he was the only thing I saw all this time. It was, you know, in the early October, and I was really feeling it, or not earlier, sorry, late October here. But I was seeing, you know, I was kind of feeling that October lull. Oops, actually mistyped that. I can change it. Go back in here. Delete. October lull. Okay. So anyway, so what happened though is I had this 8-pointer jump out at me. He stared at me from about 30 yards away. Or sorry, not 30 yards. Jumped out and stared at me from about 75 yards away. And he stared right at me. He licked his nose and he smelled me. And he looked directly at me. Even though I was in a blind, I was not moving. It's completely silent. This blind had been sitting there for a long time, and so I must have done something wrong. I think the water here has a lot, or I know the water here has a lot of sulfur in it, so it is possible that you know, he winded me from a ways away from being able to smell that on me. So anyways, but it was cool. So I said I hunted from a pop-up blind, set back in some brush, waited hours for finding a slightly more mature doe, and yeah, she made some really delicious jerky. So I'm going to save my changes I made to that. So pretty cool. There's my harvest. Sightings. I actually made some sightings up here last year. I only had one chance to hunt here, and the weather, it was 39 degrees, wind blowing like crazy, and there was a lot of rain going on too. Record rainfall in this area in November last year. So anyways, I'd only gotten to hunt one time up here, and this is where I saw. So this is a buck sighting that I saw. I did see, I think I heard about two of them. I was sneaking up on top of the mountain, made it pretty close to them, but before I could even see them, they ended up getting spooked because my foot slipped on a rock and splashed in some water, and it scared them off. So it shows again the temperature, the pressure. This is really good for sightings, but you can kind of see what affects the deer's movement, especially if you see them out during the day and things like that. You can kind of track, and you can look at, okay, well, this is what temperature it is outside whenever they're walking out and they're being seen out in the daylight. This is the pressure. This is the condition. You can see it automatically put heavy rain and all that stuff because it was pouring down rain. Visibility, wind speed, wind gusts, wind direction. Again, the moon phase, illumination, all this stuff. This is really cool to have all this information. I should probably eventually add a story to that, but I'll do that later. This next thing over here I got down here at the bottom. Real quick, actually, this right here, this next one, let me go over this. This is the my tracks thing here, so obviously I went back to where I'm at. I'm not here. But anyways, what I can do is I can look at all my previous tracks, and so this is kind of what it looks like whenever I do a track in the Old Sabine Bottom Wildlife Management Area. It tracked me as I walked through the woods. Even though it didn't have the perfect GPS signal, it kind of breadcrumbs that trail, and it was actually super accurate how it worked. So this is the follow and trace. You see at the bottom here, I just hit start trace, it'll follow me, then I can view my old traces and everything from that trace tool right there. If you go back here, you see this hunt zone tool. It's also here from the main thing, so I can really quickly jump to these tools. But this hunt zone tool is amazing. You can see I can drop this anywhere from this main map too. So if I go back here to the mapping, right, you see it down here at the bottom. So wherever I'm at, I can check this tool. So basically just touch it anywhere in the map and drop, and this basically shows me a scent cone. This is like basically where my wind is going to be blowing. So whenever I am hunting, I can see if the deer are going to be able to, or the animals, whatever I'm hunting, are going to be able to smell me from where I'm at, right? So this right here, again, this is the hill right here. So basically what's going to happen is in the morning, it's going to blow my thermals kind of up. They're going to kind of carry it up a little bit. But the wind almost always from this location goes across this way, again from the southeast up to the northwest region. But down here at the bottom, you can see the wind speed for the next 72 hours. If I touch this map, I can actually go here too, and I can show the direction as well. So you can see they're actually going to have a wind going the opposite direction, which is actually kind of rare for this area too. Again, you say mostly whenever I look at this, it's coming from the opposite direction. It's coming from the southeast, and it goes northwest. But here in the morning, I'm guessing like right here in this location, you've kind of got again those thermals coming up the hill there and kind of carrying it back the other direction. So this is really nice, and whenever you're trying to find an area to place a stand, right? So I can again drop it just anywhere in the map. I can also change in the settings the range from 100 to 200 yards if I want to make this bigger. I usually think 100 yards is fine. Okay, but this is really cool. It also has this too if you're going waterfowl hunting or something like that. It's called the LANDZONE, and it's basically the exact same thing, but it shows you which direction the wind is going to be blowing with the arrows there. The blue arrows show where the direction the wind's going to be blowing, and then the red shows which direction the animals are going to be landing, which the direction the ducks or whatever the waterfowls you're hunting are going to be landing, because they usually land into the wind. So next over here is the weather. If I hit that, I can show the weather of the current area that I'm mapping out here. And again, it goes to that same weather tab from the very beginning. Those are all like shortcuts in the beginning, okay? So this DOS Ranch, I can see 72 hour, or sorry, the current temperature, 29.9 inches of mercury, 10-mile visibility, 51% humidity, cloud cover is only 4%, so it's a nice clear day. 3 mile per hour winds, not a big deal. 2 miles per hour south-southeast. All right, 72 hours. I've got the same information here. 8 mile per hour gusts. So Friday, that's today. The 10 mile an hour, 12 mile an hour gusts, 13 miles. So it's going to get pretty windy in the afternoon. We can kind of see how that goes, right? Saturday. All right, this is the day I'm going hunting, so it's actually going to be tomorrow. So 9 mile an hour gusts. Okay, so I can kind of look at this here. Saturday. So early in the morning. Like 12, 1, 2 a.m. I have about a 9 mile an hour, 10 mile an hour winds here. Okay, which is pretty normal. It can get pretty windy in this area, but look how that scent cone changes over time, right? Again, this is showing me where my scent is going to be blown. Look, it's like the wind completely does a fold back on itself again, which is not common for this area, and then it comes back all the way around again in the morning. It's like it did like a 360, kind of blows in a circle there most of the time. So pretty interesting. Again, I love being able to have this weather information as it go. And again, I can see this graph and look at the change over time here as a graph function. That's really nice. And I got, let's say, this 5-day forecast shows me just a general lows and highs and the conditions for the next 5 days. Super important information. Okay. And lastly, I got the moon phase down here, so I can look at the moon phase. So that's pretty much a main review here of the main functions of HUNTSTAND. The rest of this is kind of going to be just some auxiliary features. Again, from here in this main screen here, I've got some of the shortcut tabs and things like that. I can jump straight to my sightings, my things like that. I have a section here just for trail cams, right? So I can go here, zoom into my trail cam. I can touch that and see where it's at, right? Trail camera number 1. I can put information in here from that. I can hit edit. I can also edit that thing there. Okay. So look, this is camera number 1. I can select that there. And then so if it has images, which I can sync through the HUNTSTAND app online, I can actually upload images to this, which I'll actually probably do later, and I might tap that back in here as another review. But yeah, so this is trail camera number 1. If you have a list of trail cameras, it's going to show them here. And again, you can filter by date. That is so important for land management. I don't think I know any other apps that do this. I'm going to be reviewing some of these other apps over here, and I'll see this over time, but that is a really cool feature I haven't seen anywhere else. Same thing with our tasks, right? I can add tasks in here. I can put a marker down somewhere, like let's say this project field here. I'm going to add a task there. The task will be, I got this little type of task: food plot, orchard management, stand line management, habitat management, general management. Okay, so I'm going to say food plot or orchard management right there. Tap the task. Again, I can add a date and time, like a due time for it. I can add the date. Let's do this. I'm going to set this for, let's do March 2020, March 5th, or no, 7th, 6th, it'll be a Friday. Okay. Time, let's put 12 p.m. because that's usually probably what the time will be out there, or 12:20 p.m. Alright, you can add a picture of that area if you want as well, which I will do. And with the title, let's say this will be, start with soil management. So this is very rocky soil out here, so I need to go in here and fix this land here. So I'm going to add a note real quick. So I need to fix soil and send samples, right? So this is what you do if you're trying to fix your soil so that you can grow stuff in it a lot easier. You can fix the soil up, send samples, you can till it up, add things to the soil to make it a lot better, put lime down if you want to control the pH, different things like that, right? All right, then I hit save, and there we go. Now I've got a task there, right? So I can see that's my soil management task. Okay, so I can do this over time, and again, I can track all these tasks as I go, right? I got a filter over here. Here's all my tasks: outstanding tasks, complete tasks, and again, I can sort by date and time. Amazing. Okay. And lastly, over here, group board. It says this group board is only available for group hunt areas. Like, I can make this area that I've created in my phone here a group hunt area, so that multiple people can manage the same land and see that and check on it and stuff like that. As I change things here, it'll synchronize it to them. So once I load up the app, right here it says hunt area, the touch the top. I say hit that, and I can synchronize those areas. So if any changes have been made to the other person's device, or from another person's device, or even my own other device, I can synchronize those changes here so I can see them. Okay. And lastly, friend locator. Again, if I have turn on location sharing, then any of my friends that are in this area can see exactly where I'm at. Again, I was watching some videos online where guys were going out west, and they're doing like groups of 4 where they'll break off into 2s and go hunting large expanses of public land. And that's really cool, because whenever they're there, they're like, okay, hey, look, you know, we're trying to find so and so, he's supposed to be over in this area. By doing this, you can see exactly where they are on a map. That's really important. That's pretty cool too. Okay. And lastly, land for sale. Let's look at this. This is brought to you by Land Broker MLS, right? So if I go over here, I can see a list of areas in that viewing area that are for sale. So let's zoom way out here. I'm just gonna try to get the whole state, or most of the state, in there. So look, there's a bunch of lands for sale right here in Central Texas, right? So let's look at Harper over here. Let's touch this. All right, so 2004 Ranch Road 783. It's going to jump me to this website. Well, there we go. Hey, free advertisement for you guys. for this capital land management and this property listing, right? So we got a nice area for sale here. You got a watering hole for animals, which is really good. You got water on the property. Okay, so this is 147,500. It's let's see, it's acreage, so it's raw land. So anyways, you can see it's really cool information. Helps you find your land in whatever area you're looking at. Let's see, let's look up north somewhere. Okay, I'm just gonna zoom into the map here. Okay, look at that. Let's look in here. Up near Minnesota, 75 plus acres. Let's see how much this runs up there. 259,000. That's not too shabby. All right, we got a nice watering land in there. It's kind of funny is that this land here looks a lot like the land that was in you know, my area there in Central Texas. Got more grass on it, obviously, but anyways. So a pretty cool feature there as well if you're really trying to keep tabs on your own land, if you want to get a piece of hunting land for yourself. Pretty soon I'll be looking at this, and I'll be doing this map printing here. I'll bring another video back to you guys, a little short video to show you that. Friends, oh, this is depressing. I have no friends yet. So if you want to be my friend on HUNTSTAND, you can just look me up, look at my address there on my channel, antiparadigmproductions@gmail.com, or you look me up at travisweckert@yahoo.com, either one. I don't really use those emails for anything, by the way. They're kind of just spam emails, so if you try to send me your advertisements, I'm not going to get them. All right, so it's kind of like the social media aspect of it, and then I can add people here if I can search by somebody's email address, right, and I can find them on this if they have the app and are signed in. Okay. Down here at the bottom, activity. So this is nice for your property right here. So if you've got several things, if you got like 3 or 4 people managing this area, I need to get my dad set up on this so we can kind of do this together and I can demonstrate it. But basically, if I had things that have changed in there, it'll put it here in my news feed so I can see what changes have happened while I was gone. So that might be one of the first places I go once I bring back the app up after a while. And then sharing too, like I said, I can share this area with somebody from this location here. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's just a HUNTSTAND app in a nutshell. Oh yeah, one more thing. Let's go in the settings. Here's the settings. You can do imperial or metric units, right? Obviously, we're going to do imperial here. I can do 100 yards to 200 yards for the hunt zone. And like I said, I can allow data usage of data. All right, I'm fine with that. Subscriptions, right? So here's the 2 different things you can do. The basic app with it has limited features. And actually, they just changed this just recently. The price went up, but they did add a lot more maps and a lot more features. So I'm okay with it. So ad-free, that's just basically it removes the ads off the bottom of it. It's $10 a year, so that's very, very little. That costs like almost nothing. It's less than $10 a month, right? Next is the Pro membership here. This right here. You see, I accidentally purchased that one and I canceled it, and so then I went to Pro. But the Pro version here is $24.99 a whole year, and that gives you everything. $25 a year for all those maps, all those information, all that access, all that social access to hunting lands. I think that's a steal, an absolute steal, guys. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this app. Like I say, it's super cheap. Super great. Keep that in mind when you're looking at other apps too, because some of them they see like, oh yeah, you just download the app and you can use it. Sure, but if you want any of those cool features, you have to pay a lot for it. This one, you can still get access to all the map editor tools. You can access to the satellite and hybrid maps, which are honestly the ones you're probably going to use the most anyways. All the weather, the hunt zone, all these different tools at the top here, and it's all $10 a month for, or sorry, $10 a year for unlimited ad-free access to those features, and then if you want everything, all the different maps here, it's $24.99 a year for all those extra features. So to sum it up, this is an amazing app for hunters, and if I had to choose one app that was kind of like my go-to that I did everything with, it's going to be HUNTSTAND. That's going to be my go-to for almost everything there. I do have a lot of other hunting apps that we're going to review over time, but again, this right here is my favorite. I use this a lot for land management and a lot for public land hunting because it does have those public land maps. The only thing I wish they would bring is a little bit more specific version of this feature. Okay, TerraStride, if you're listening. So one thing that's really great about this biggest competitor, the biggest competitor to this is probably the biggest mapping app in the hunting world, and that is onX Hunts. And one thing onX does really great is the ability to very easily save maps for offline use. And so I think that would be nice if just somewhere here in this list, right, anywhere in here, you could, you know, just have a little button, like maybe even right in here or something like that. Just have a button there where you can download that map for offline use, right? One thing I have found though is it kind of does work. So what I did is I was still able to get the maps offline, you know, but it was kind of, I was worried that if I switched maps that it would change things, right? And it does. If I switch maps after I've downloaded the information and I get into an area where there's no cell service, I lose the cache of that map. But for instance, if I come in here, right, and I'm looking in this and I zoom in good detail, right, or at least like that, and pan around, whenever the map is loaded, it's going to cache that map and save it for later. Okay. So now if I were to put it in, let's say I put it in airplane mode or something like that. So if I put in airplane mode, right, you can see I've still got that map. I can go back out here and come back in, and you see it still populates that even though I'm in airplane mode. All right. So it does cache the maps on here, and it does save them for offline use. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do this though. Let's exit out. I'm gonna clear that out. Let's clear all. Okay. Now if I open back HUNTSTAND here, you can see it's still there even though I'm still in airplane mode. So it will cache that map. But let's look at this. Now let's switch to Old Sabine Bottom, right? Open the map. It's not there. Okay. And let's go back to Dawson Ranch. Okay. Still cached, right? So it'll cache the cache or whatever you want to call it, the last map that you used here, that you really did anything with. But the problem is it's a little bit unreliable. So I don't know, like, if I actually close this out and leave it off for some time, is it going to automatically clear that cache? Is Android or is the Apple going to automatically clear the cache of that app so that's gone? And then I get out there and I'm like, okay, well, I don't have cell service here. How am I going to figure out this map, right? And that's where it helps to have a button there that says download this map offline or cache this map for the offline use. Okay, so just keep that in mind here whenever you do this. What I usually do is before I leave to go out there, and I'll leave this app open, like I'll just go back to the home screen. I'm not going to completely close the app out, and that way again I can be sure that I'm not going to lose that information. Okay. Anyways, guys, this has been a review of the HUNTSTAND app. This is an amazing all-in-one app that gives you a lot of different features. Allows you to pretty much do everything you need to for land management, for hunting, for public land hunting access, for public land hunting mapping, and for trail camera management. It is a full-fledged all-in-one tool here. You can use this on your tablet, on your cell phone, whether it's Android or iPhone, or you can even use this online on the web at huntstand.com, or I believe TERRASTRIDE.com, and you can find all this stuff there. I'll put some links down in the bottom too if you want to go check out the website for yourself or the app for yourself. All right, but again, guys, really great app. Super cheap for the amount of features you get. Next we'll be reviewing other apps like onX, and we're going to go over that, and I hope to see you in the next video. Alright guys, until then, grow stronger, grow faster, become an apex predator, and as always, defy the odds.